to the NABS Now podcast, brought to you by the National Association of Blind Students, a proud division of the National Federation of the Blind.
Welcome to the NABS Now podcast. Today, we are embarking on a digital voyage in a new realm, a bustling world of Mastodon, a rising social media platform star that puts your privacy, content moderation, and of course, accessibility at the center. Think of it as a vast city with various neighborhoods, each with its unique rules, ambience, and charisma. As the National Federation of the Blind realigns our social media presence in this brand new space. Curious to learn more about Mastodon? Keep on listening and you will find out. Joining us on this NABS Now podcast is a co-chair from our National Association of Blind Students Content Creation Committee, Ms. Z'Leah Liburd. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you so much, Seyoon. Like Seyoon said, I am the co-chair of our content creation committee for the National Association of Blind Students. Along with that, I also play many roles in NFB of Florida, one being vice president of our student division.
Awesome, fantastic. So obviously we're talking all about the hot button, which is the Federation's realignment on our social media presence. A couple weeks ago, there was a press release from the NFB about our transition to Mastodon, a relatively new social media platform, I would say, and then one that also puts kind of Twitter behind. And as we transition, I know some of our listeners may have already read the press release, others may have not. So Z'Leah, talk to us a little bit about what that press release really is all about. Give us a kind of a summary of what this realignment looks like.
Yeah, of course. So on May 4th of this year, the National Federation of the Blind released a notice about their transition from Twitter to Mastodon. In light of the recent events of Twitter's accessibility team being laid off, realigning their social media presence, the biggest immediate change is the establishment of the new server Mastodon. The National Federation of the Blind is dedicated to accessibility, inclusion, and the preferences of blind people. So with the transition from Twitter to Mastodon, they'll be able to fulfill those commitments.
Fantastic. For all Twitter users out there, Z'Leah, what will happen to the NFB's Twitter presence? Is it going away completely? Will the updates be less frequent? Or are they also encouraged to check out Mastodon?
They're most definitely encouraged to check out Mastodon. The National Federation of the Blind as a whole is straying away from Twitter because it's no longer a platform that they can support due to its complete lack of equal access. Although they're not telling individuals who are blind not to use Twitter, that's completely up to your discretion. But the National Federation of the Blind is not going to be affiliated with Twitter anymore.
Oh, understandably so, for sure. Do you see this trickling down to other chapters, divisions, and groups as well?
I feel like some chapters and divisions and groups may be switching over to Mastodon. Some people may stick to Twitter. I guess it's all a big suggestion to move to Mastodon. So we'll see what happens.
What are you most looking forward to as we start this new chapter in our social media presence? When I saw something about having a server, I think of fostering more community within social media so federationists can better connect with each other, have a place. What are you most hopeful for?
Definitely on the same path as you. I'm hopeful for better community, for others to be able to actually talk to one another versus tweeting back and forth through words. Overall, just building a better community. Hopefully this platform will also be more accessible for all, so we don't have to kind of run into a situation like this.
What are some other social media networks that our listeners can discover NFB and all of our wonderful resources?
The National Federation of the Blind can be reached through Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, and Instagram. The Instagram would be NFB_voice. TikTok is nations_blind. And Facebook and LinkedIn is just National Federation of the Blind, and it should pop up.
I really appreciate you jumping on this show with us today and talking a little bit about Mastodon.
Of course. I also wanted to mention that members of the National Federation of the Blind is invited to submit any questions or concerns that they have about Mastodon to mastodon@nfb.org.
Welcome back. The second half of the show is devoted to a quick getting started guide so you can jump in on the action with Mastodon. We understand that joining a brand new social media platform can at times be overwhelming, intimidating, and a little scary, so we hope this segment of the show eases a little bit of your concern. For the purposes of this demonstration, I'll be using my iPhone 14 Pro using VoiceOver with an official Mastodon app. Keep in mind that Mastodon is compatible with most Android devices and even on desktop browsers, such as on Mac and Windows with various screen readers. There are even third-party clients similar to how Twitter operated, leverages Mastodon's network, so you don't have to use the native app. Before we dive in, I think it's worth mentioning the unique structure of Mastodon itself. There are 12 terms that you should be familiar with as you use the network, but unlike conventional social media sites such as Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, Mastodon is a federated social network that operates in a decentralized way. Think about various mailing lists that you're involved with in the Federation. For instance, where I'm from, we have the National Federation of the Blind of Missouri's mailing lists. We have the NABS L list for the National Association of Blind Students Divisions list. Email accounts from various providers such as Gmail, Outlook, Yahoo, and etc. could subscribe to the mailing lists through a centralized platform that the Federation uses, known as the mailman. Subscribers can interact with each other and send messages back and forth through that centralized tunnel. An analogy that I think is applicable here are different neighborhoods within a city. Now, most of Mastodon's interface is comparable to Twitter, so we'll just use that as a way to compare between the two, so it's easy to understand. Let's briefly go over some of the terms that Mastodon utilizes. Mastodon, a social network itself. Instance refers to a server within the network. Think about instance as something like various workspaces available within Slack, or different servers you could join on Discord. Each workspace has its unique channels for thread organizing, and each servers within Discord has various text and voice channels, again, to keep things more streamlined. Toot, that's spelled T-O-O-T, equivalent of a tweet on Twitter. Now, it can be up to 500 characters long, which is quite a bit longer than Twitter's 280 character limit. Each instance can govern their own rules. The administration and moderation falls on the instance moderators. Boost is similar to a retweet on Twitter. Favorite is a way of showing like, so you're interacting with a toot. Follow, as you've probably seen in many other social media networks, allows you to follow other users on Mastodon, so you can have access to their toots in real time. Timeline, a real-time list of toots from people you follow as well as your own toots. Federated timeline is very interesting. It'll make more sense as we dive in. Federated timeline aggregates various instances into a singular view, which allows you to discover other instances you may want to check out. It could be from other users within your instance that they're already connected with, similar to mutual friends on Facebook. Local timeline helps with that by separating away from the federated instance by displaying toots from your own instances that you're a part of. Direct message, or DM for short, is simply a way for you to message other Mastodon users within the network. Content warning, this is really helpful. It's a tool that can be utilized to hide the content that is potentially sensitive. In a less dire way, it could be used to hide any spoilers. Last but not least, Mastodon also utilizes hashtags quite often. This is a way to disseminate and popularize your topics of interest so more users can reach your toots. It also helps with categorization as well, such as hashtag NFB23. Now that we got those terms out of the way, let's go ahead and dive right in. I have located my Mastodon app. We're going to single finger double tap. Let's start from the beginning, the first element within the app.
Join Mastodon.social button.
We have join Mastodon.social. This is centralized instance, so most users can be a part of this. So in a way, you have an option to opt in or out of the centralized location, operated directly by the social network itself.
Pick another server button.
You could always pick another server.
Or learn more button.
You heard a little bit about how Mastodon works, so you can continue to listen to this podcast or double tap on this button here.
Login button.
Or you can log in.
Login button.
And we have reached the bottom of the screen. Let's dive into...
Pick another server button.
Pick another server. Now, there are different ways to aggregate categories and areas of interest. So we have anything from general,
Regional button.
regional, something based around your geographic areas,
Art button. Music button. Journalism button. Activism button. LGBT button. Games button. Tech button. Academia button.
so you heard some of these.
Mastodon.social, the original server operated by the Mastodon GmbH nonprofit.
There's also a brief description of what each servers are for, so you could choose to join in or not on the fun.
MSTDN.social, a general purpose Mastodon server with a 500 character limit.
As I've said earlier, each server could govern its own rules. So some servers may allow up to 1,000 character limit, some may just choose to stick with 500.
Pick server, search name or URL, search field.
Moving to the top of the screen,
Back button,
there's a back button at the top left.
search name or URL, search field.
You'll go ahead and single finger double tap on the search box.
Search field is edited, search field is editing, search name or URL, character mode, insertion point at start.
If you have the entire URL of the server, you're more than welcome to type that in as well. But for the purposes of this show, you can find NFB's Mastodon server, nfb.social.
NFB.social, welcome to NFB.social. This is the official Mastodon instance for the National Federation of the Blind. We are the transformative membership and advocacy organization of blind people in the U.S.
What you just heard is a brief synopsis and summary of the server you're about to join. We're going to single finger slide right.
Next button.
There's a next button. Now that we've explored how you could join the server, let's find out how you could jump in that main Mastodon.social that we talked about earlier. I wanted to return to it again, finalizing several details to launch our official Mastodon server. So how do you
Screen
get
dimmed.
involved?
Join Mastodon.social button.
So that's what we will do. Single finger double tap here.
These are set and enforced by the Mastodon.social moderators. Heading.
There are going to be different moderators on here as well.
Sexually explicit or violent media must be marked as sensitive when posting. No racism, sexism, homophobia, transphobia, xenophobia, or casteism. No incitement of violence or promotion of violent ideologies.
So you could continue to explore these rules on your own, but you would have
I
to
agree button.
tap I agree, which is on the top right corner of your screen.
I agree. Some ground rules. Back button.
There are going to be ground rules as well. Again, enforced by the server moderators themselves. Please take the time to read it.
I agree. Privacy. Back button. Next button. Create account. Head.
Now, it is asking you to create an account. I already have an account with Mastodon.social, but just to give you an overview of what it's going to ask you for, your display name, which could be anything you want, your username, so this is similar to your @ handle, your email address and password, pretty typical stuff. So now that I've logged into my Mastodon account that I've created before I recorded the show, let's take a look.
Mastodon button. Heading.
That button just indicates different servers you could toggle between.
Settings button.
There is settings, always accessible at the top. There's that settings button as well at the top right hand corner.
Empty list. Find people to follow button.
You could find people to follow. This is again very similar to Twitter.
Manually search instead button.
You could also manually search by @username handles.
Tab bar. Selected. Home. Tab. 1 of 5.
What are we working with here? We have
1
the
of 5.
home tab,
Search and explore. Tab. 2
search
of
and
5.
explore,
Compose. Tab. 3 of 5.
compose,
Notifications. Tab. 4 of 5.
Notifications.
Profile. Tab. 5 of 5.
and profile. They are pretty self-explanatory. Again, if you have used Twitter before, the layout here is going to be very similar to that. So to find the National Federation of the Blind within the Mastodon.social instance, we would click search,
News. Tab. Search hashtags and users. Search field.
move to the very top.
Search hashtags and users. Search field. Search field is editing.
Our username handle is Nations Blind, one word.
Selected. All. Button. People. Button.
Once again, you get categorized into different search criteria for filtering.
Hashtags. Button. 3 posts. Button. National Federation of the Blind. @nationsblind @nfb.social. Button.
Let's go ahead and single finger double tap.
Avatar. Image. A gray box with white text on a black background. 33 posts. 0 following. 195 followers. National Federation of the Blind. @nationsblind @nfb.social. Button. Follow.
We could go ahead and click single finger double tap to follow.
Following.
So anytime that I receive a toot from the Nations Blind account, I should in theory see it on my home feed.
We are the transformative membership and advocacy organization of blind people in the United States. Selected. Posts. Button. Heading.
You can look at
Posts and replies. Button.
Posts
Heading.
and replies.
Media. Button. Heading.
Media.
About. Button. Heading.
and about.
National Federation of the Blind reblogged. President Rick Obono, president at NFB.social, edited 4 days ago, enjoyed celebrating the 24 graduates of the Texas School for the hashtag blind and visually impaired today. Appreciate the hospitality of Madam Shuiko and glad to have leaders like her joining us at hashtag NFB23, one media. 2 people standing next to each other and posing.
Now we should be able to just use our actions
Hashtag
folder
blind.
Just scroll through hashtags.
Show profile, M. Shuikelman. Hashtag, NFB23. Reply, 1 reply.
You could also reply to this toot.
Reblog, 5 reblogs. Favored, 5 favorites. Translate from English.
There's also a translation option.
Mute President Rick Obono.
You can mute President Rick Obono. We're not going to do that.
Block President Rick Obono. Report President Rick Obono. Bookmark. Share.
Bookmark,
Explore image.
share,
Activate.
and
Default.
various other options.
National Federation of the Blind, Nations Blind at NFB.social, 19 hours ago. Each year, thousands of members and friends contribute to various funds that support blind people. 2023 is no exception. We recently announced that our Give $20 drawing will take place on July 6th at the National Convention Banquet, and the AIRA has generously agreed to match up to $25,000 of donations given between May 1st and July 6th, 3 p.m. Central Time. Hashtag NFB23 to enter the drawing and contribute or learn more. Visit our campaign page, https://nfb.org/give20. Zero Media. National
This is
Federation.
our Give $20
Blind.
campaign,
Live.
where you are being entered to win a trip to the 2024 National Convention. What if I wanted to favor this? We would just slide down with our actions rotor.
Actions. Activate. Hashtag NFB20. Link. https://reply. 0 replies.
Again, very streamlined.
Reblog. 3 reblogs.
Reblog.
Translate from English. Favored. 1 favored.
I think I'm going to favorite. Single finger double tap.
Unfavored. 2 favorites.
Now it has changed to unfavorite. What if I wanted to post my own toot?
Tab bar. Compose. Tap.
I
3
would
of
go
5.
to the compose button, the bottom
Text field.
of the middle.
Type or paste what's on your mind. Insertion point at start. Poll. Button. Add attachment. Button. Pop-up button.
You can add attachment.
Add poll. Button.
Poll.
Custom emoji picker. Button. Enable content warning.
emojis,
Button.
Content warning.
Select visibility. Public. Button. Pop-up button.
And you could also change visibility.
Selected. Public. Followers only. Followers only. Only people I mentioned. 500 characters left.
So say if I wanted to say hello world, I would type hello world and then push
Publish. Dimmed. Button.
publish at the top right, which is grayed out right now. So that is Mastodon. We hope this episode was informative, and thanks for listening. NABS Now is produced by Seyoon Choi and Kinshuk Tella, with help from Z'Leah Liburd and Sarah Luna, out of the National Association of Blind Students Content Creation Committee. Be sure to click that subscribe button wherever you catch your podcasts for new content releasing every month, and visit us on the web at nabslink.org to find links to our social media pages and even more resources for blind students. Thanks for listening.